On 1561 was born Francis Bacon, also called as Sir Francis Bacon. He was an establishment figure born into one of the most powerful families in Britain, a lawyer, statesman, philosopher, master of English tongue, and was considered an influential figure in the scientific revolution.
Hi, my name is Kea. I am a first year BSc Psychology student studying at Christ University, Delhi NCR campus. In this channel, we will be talking about the history of psychology, and more specifically, we will be talking about the ancient philosophers that contributed in forming the roots of psychology. For today's video, a philosopher as mentioned in the beginning will be Sir Francis Bacon. He was an establishment figure born into one of the most powerful families in Britain. He was a member of the House of Commons and the House of Lords for 37 years. He wrote extensively on topics ranging from law and religion to contemporary politics and ethics. The son of Sir Nicholas Bacon and Anne, a scholar, he grew up in an environment that valued education and intellectual discussions. He was a sickly child and was thus educated at home for a few years. He later went to study at Trinity College at the University of Cambridge. Bacon started his career as a politician from 1579, but it took a big leap in 1584, after which he held a place in the Parliament for nearly 4 decades. In 1579, Francis Bacon took up his residence in law at Gray's Inn, and in 1581 he was elected as a member of Parliament. In the mid 1580s began his high involvement in politics when he wrote a politician memorandum, a letter of advice to Queen Elizabeth, in 1584. During this, he was dissatisfied with the system of science and wanted to formulate a new system, emphasizing the empirical method. In 1584, he was also elected to a seat in the Parliament for Malcolm. He was a member of many committees, including the one to revise the laws of England. In 1590s, he was also engaged in numerous scholarly and literary pursuits besides his political career. He gained popularity as a liberal-minded reformer who opposed feudal privileges despite his good relations with the royalty. In 1597, Queen Elizabeth reserved him as her legal counsel, making him the first Queen's Counsel designate. In 1603, when Queen Elizabeth died and James I succeeded her, he was also able to earn his trust easily. Despite having a high-profile career, Francis Bacon struggled financially. He was accused of accepting bribes and was charged with 23 separate counts of corruption and sentenced a fine of £40,000. But fortunately, his sentence was reduced and his fine was lifted. After 4 days of imprisonment, Bacon was released at the cost of his reputation and his long-standing place in the Parliament. The scandal put a serious strain on 40-year-old Bacon's health. Bacon remained in St. Albans after the collapse of his political career. Retired, he was now able to focus on one of his other passions, the philosophy of science. From the time he had reached adulthood, Bacon was determined to alter the face of natural philosophy. He strove to create a new outline for the sciences with a focus on empirical scientific methods that depended on tangible proof, while developing the basis of applied science. Unlike the doctrine of Aristotle and Plato, Bacon's approach placed an emphasis on experimentation and interaction. Bacon's outlook was concrete, practical. His thinking was forward-looking, sometimes even apocalyptic. Hence, the regular occurrence of the word new in the title of so many writings. Francis Bacon was widely been read all over the world, not only because of his philosophy, but also because of his prose style. There are certain stylish qualities in Bacon's essays due to which he gained fame. Generally, he is known as the father of English prose. He does not only laid the foundation of English essays, but also created a proper writing style. Bacon is famous because of the charm in his stylistic qualities. Some stylistic qualities of Bacon's essays are that they are short and concise sentences, no parentheses, clarity, rhythm and cohesion, aphoristic style, theme related to worldly wisdom. In Book 1 of Novum Organum, Bacon made what was probably the first systematic attempt to expose the psychological motives and human interests that often lie behind various forms of philosophical outlooks. He discusses what he calls idola mentis, that is, idols of the mind, which he believed up to his own time persistently stood in the way of objective knowledge. This particular critique of philosophical doctrine was taken up and much further extended in the 18th century. In part 2 of Novum Organum, he tried to improve on the existing conception of scientific method by expounding a method of induction, which was not simply induction by simple enumeration. During the Enlightenment, Bacon was held in the highest esteem, especially by French philosophers. He also gravely underestimated the use of scientists' need to make imaginative hypotheses. In March 1626, Bacon was performing a series of experiments with ice. While testing the effects of cold on the preservation and decay of meat, he stuffed a hen with snow near Highgate, England, and caught a chill. Bacon stayed at Lord Arundel's home in London. The guest room where Bacon resided was cold and musty. He soon developed bronchitis. On April 9, 1626, a week after he had arrived, he died. In the years after Bacon's death, his theories began to have a major influence on evolving fields of 17th century European science. British scientists belonging to Robert Boyle's circle followed through on Bacon's concept of cooperative research institution, applying it towards the establishment of Royal Society of London for improving natural knowledge in 1662. The Royal Society utilized Bacon's applied science approach and followed the steps of his re-informed scientific method. Today, Bacon is still widely regarded as a major figure in scientific methodology and natural philosophy, having advocated an organized system of obtaining knowledge with a humanitarian goal in mind. He is largely credited in this new early modern era of human understanding.